5 tips to help you launch your rebrand. Part 1. Prep from the beginning. My Grandpa Dean really instilled in me the 6P process, which was proper planning prevents piss poor performance. And a rebrand works just the same. So much of a rebrand goes into figuring out who you are, what you need, your goals, your aspirations, what return on investment is going to be appropriate for you, and ultimately what you want to achieve from the rebranding process. Most of that is beginning prep work that you can do before you even enter the rebrand process so that you have an outlook and a goal to aim for. That prep work not only includes what you're doing inside of your team, but also with the agency that you're working with, ensuring that everyone around you is prepared from the beginning. A prepared team will help you hit opportunities, find pitfalls, and make sure you're on deadline and budget, and ultimately improve the rebranding process. Part 2. Prepare your touch points. There are really 2 ways to go about any rebrand launch. One, which is all at once, which means you've prepared your web assets, your print assets, you've ordered those things in advance so that you can release and launch everything all at once, and the bring a frog to boil way. What I think about when we do the second one is that you sort of produce the logo, and then a few days later you produce the letterhead, and a few days later you change the social media, and so on and so forth. The second way means it's a lot less complainable and takes a lot less preparation on your part as far as launching the brand goes. The downfall of the second way is that it's a lot less impactful, and what you stand to gain in that recognition and that press is a lot less than if you go ahead and prepare all those assets in advance. When you're preparing those touch points, make sure you're hitting those lead times and things that need to be done first. So if you have labels that need to be printed, that those are going off months in advance, packaging that needs to get manufactured, print materials and other collateral or signs redone, that you get those things on the calendar and set up way in advance of something like your website, which is just an easy push to click and publish, your social media channels, which can be done the day of, and other digital assets that can be done more quickly and relevantly in that timeline. Part 3. Having a style guide ready. If you're a small business, 1 or 2 people, sometimes it can seem irrelevant to have a brand style guide ready because you're the one propagating the brand. But if you've hired out a designer and they've built you a brand guideline, it means that you can consistently and beautifully execute the design that they've gone ahead and laid out for you. If you have a larger team, that brand guideline is going to become really important because those people are ultimately going to be creating content on your behalf. Whether they're writing blog posts, or emails, reaching out on sales calls, and what have you, all of this is content that needs to follow your brand guidelines. Whether it's tone of writing and who's speaking or how they're speaking, the vision or the mission that your new rebrand comes with, and any sort of visual assets that might come along with those, whether they're free templates that they're giving out to people, proposals they might be sending, or even donor packages and the like. Having brand guidelines in place when you launch that brand that are easily accessible, whether it's a PDF document that gets distributed or even a microsite that lives on your own brand, those things can really help launch your brand into its new phase. Part 4. Launch it internally first. A lot of times it's hard to get the entire company to work on a rebrand. In fact, we don't really like that because there are more people who want to stay where they're at and comfortable than move forward into something new and opportunistic like a rebrand. When you launch your rebrand internally, what it gets you to do is train everybody in your company about how to speak about the brand, and also this sort of test phase of preparing questions and feedback that the outside world is going to give you anyways. When you launch your rebrand internally, you can answer the questions like why you've done what you've done, the new vision that you have set out for the company, and ultimately where you think this rebrand is going to help take the business. Then, when people give you feedback, you can write those questions down, or write a response to those, and have those prepared for media and press and social media when those responses ultimately come from those avenues as well. Launching internally first also helps the people within your company talk about on your behalf this new brand and rebrand, which as a leader takes a few things off your plate and also bolsters the entire company around your rebranding process. Part 5. Make your launch an event. Good news is really only heard with the people you share it with. So when you're launching a rebrand, go ahead and make a big event out of it, proportional to the scale of your company. If you're a small e-commerce business that's working with local creatives and other e-commerce collectives, what you can do is work with those brands to offer free workshops or small discounts on products, maybe some giveaways or prizes that people can win if they're interacting with your new brand. And if you're a larger company that can afford it, put on a gala, bring people to the launch it with a rebrand, and also pitch your vision and your mission Let them know where you're going to drive the company. Knowing your brand story is ultimately the best part about a rebrand, and so these avenues and these external events are the best places to be able to share the view and vision that you have for your brand story as you move forward and grow as a business. Remember that brands aren't built overnight. It's taken you so long to get to the point that you're at so far, and a lot of that is carrying momentum with you. So there's going to be pushback when you launch a rebrand, but there will also be people who are celebrating what you're doing now and in the future. Ultimately, we want to get people on the bus, riding with us in the place that we're going to, and that's the goal of a rebrand and the goal of launching it well. If you're struggling in your rebrand process and you need help at any point along the journey, please don't be afraid to reach out to me. I'm Caleb Dean from Studio Stendo, helping you with all of your branding and rebranding needs.